Hi, scholars. This is Miss C, and I am super excited to read with you today. I want you to shout, "It's reading time." We are going to read an engagement text and a decodable.
Materials.
Go ahead and put your thinking cap on. Ready? We have 3 new learning targets for today. Please follow along with me as I read. Our first learning target says, using evidence from the text, I can answer questions about the engagement text, the rules of watering. Our second learning target says, I can read the high-frequency words different, doesn't, frequent, whether, whole, won't, and yourself. Our last learning target says, I can read the decodable text, watering your garden.
Transition song.
Gather round together, together, together. It's time to hear a story, a story, a story. It's time to hear a story and say what you've learned.
Read aloud.
Listen carefully as I read the engagement text, the rules of watering. A slow, thorough, deep watering is better than a light sprinkling. Allow the soil to get nice and moist so you encourage roots to go deep. Water your garden early in the day so plants dry off before it gets dark. This helps prevent disease. Use mulch. It conserves the water in the soil and you won't have to water as often. More about mulch later. There are a number of things to use to water the garden. A hand sprinkler is good, but you need to stand by the garden for a while in order to do a good job. If you get bored or impatient, you may not do a good job. Lawn sprinklers or soaker hoses are great because they add water to the garden very slowly for a nice deep soaking. And best of all, you can set the sprinkler and go have a lemonade while the garden gets watered.
Question and answer.
Now, I'm going to ask you some questions about the story we just read. What type of text is this? This text is nonfiction and informational. My next question is, what are some things the author tells about watering your garden? The author tells us to water lightly, water early in the day, use mulch, and lawn sprinklers are good to use. My next question is, the text says to allow the soil to get nice and moist. What does the word moist mean? Moist means wet, like a little bit wet. And my last question is, the author says that mulch will conserve water in the soil. What does conserve mean? Conserve means to keep water in the soil. Go ahead and give yourself a silent celebration for all of your hard work.
Word work.
It's time for us to look at some high-frequency words and add them to our snap or trap chart. Remember, we put words that play fair in the snap column and words that do not play fair in the trap column. Here we go. Our first word is weather. In this word, we see the vowel team EA in the middle. We would expect the vowel team to say E, but I don't hear that sound in weather. Instead, it sounds like a short E. So this word does not play fair, and we will put it in the trap column. Our next word is different. This word has 3 syllables. First, we have a closed syllable, diff. That's a snap to read. Then I see an R-controlled syllable in the middle of the word That's expected as well. Lastly, another closed syllable comes at the end, int. These are the sounds that I am supposed to hear, so we are going to put the word different in the snap column. Our next word is doesn't. I hear the vowel sound in this word, but I see the vowels OE, which is not what I would expect. This is a tricky word, so it will go in the trap column. The next word is frequent. I hear 2 syllables in this word. First, there is an open syllable, free, which should have a long vowel sound, and it does. Next, there is a closed syllable, quint, which should have a short vowel, E, and it does. Even though it looks a little strange to see 2 vowels, U and E, next to each other, remember that the U and the Q are stuck together like glue. So this word is a snap word. Our last word that we are going to look at is whole. I hear the long O sound, O, which makes sense since this is a CVCE word. But I noticed the digraph WH at the beginning, which should say what, but instead I hear That is very tricky, so I am going to put it in the trap column. Go ahead and give yourself a pat on the back for dealing with some tricky words.
Fluency.
Now, we will read a decodable reader, Watering Your Garden. Try to remember these high-frequency words, and as we read together, jump every time you hear one of these words. Different, doesn't, whole, whether, frequently, won't, and yourself. Watch for these words and look for that blue line as a clue to when to jump. Ready? Growing plants in a garden can be so much fun. It can also be hard work. Plants need water to grow. So if you want to be a gardener, you must make sure to water plants properly. The weather is different every day. Sometimes the rain will drench the garden with water, and sometimes the rain doesn't fall for days or weeks at a time. As you can see, we have 2 high-frequency words on this page, whether and doesn't. Don't forget to jump every time you see a high-frequency word. Most gardens do best with at least an inch of water per week. Keep watch on the weather. If there is not much rain for a few days, then you should water the garden yourself. We have the high-frequency words, weather and yourself. It is best to water the garden slowly. Make sure each plant is watered, and make sure the soil is very moist. This will help the roots of the plant to grow deep into the soil. Do you know what type of soil is in your garden? If you have clay soil, it will hold water much better than sandy soil. Sandy soil dries out quickly and will need more frequent watering. We had 1 high-frequency word, frequently. It is best to water the garden early in the day. Plants should be dry before the sun goes down each day. This will help keep the plants healthy. It is a good idea to put mulch in your garden. Spreading mulch over the soil can help keep the soil moist. Then you won't need to water the garden as frequently. We had a couple of high-frequency words here, won't and frequently. You can use different things to water the garden. You can fill a pitcher full of water and pour it on the garden. Or you can use a hose or a sprinkler. Each will work if you do your best to cover the whole garden with water. We have the high-frequency words, different and whole.
Closing reflection.
Which high-frequency words were not tricky for you to read? Which were tricky for you to read? You did a great job reading today. I am very proud of you for reading 2 different texts, and I hope you keep reading after this. I can't wait to see you next time.